Good morning. Today we're making cheese. I make the easiest version ever of mozzarella from our raw milk from our cow. I'm the kind of person who a recipe has to be really easy. Like, I don't like complicated. I don't like lots of steps. I don't like lots of ingredients. Easiest cheese you'll ever make. Milk and vinegar. That's it. So I'm going to show you how. Okay, so first I pulled the cream, most of the cream off these two. I'm gonna make butter with it. Then my pot fits about 1.5 gallons, so that should be about what these are. So I'm gonna put these in a big old pot on the stove and then make butter with that cream. I love this pot. This is a enamel cast iron Dutch oven from Amazon. It's huge, it's wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna pour these in here. Okay, hopefully this all fits. It's gonna be close. The chunks are just, it froze a little bit in the fridge. Woo! Barely fit. I'm just gonna turn the stove on to like medium low. Wayne, you're right in the way of the camera. Look behind your head. Oh. So as it heats up, you want it to get warm but not hot. Like, you don't want it boiling. If you're using a thermometer, you want it to get to like 110, 115, or if you're like me and you've gotten to the point where you're really comfortable figuring out the temperature, you can just put your finger in it, and you want it to be hot. Like, you can't leave your finger in there for long, but you can put your finger in it without getting burned. Does that make sense? We're just gonna wait for it to come to that right temperature, and then we'll do the next step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's turn this cream into butter. Daisy, will you go to the pantry and get me the vinegar? Ooh, we're getting warm over here. Yeah, we're only at 97. So we're getting there, but we gotta let it go a little longer. All right, we're gonna take a break and look at Jackson's book. Author and illustrator Jackson Ronzik, Dangerous Dragons, Book 1. Wow, that's some very neat writing. Good spelling.
Show them this.
Okay, I would guess we are getting close. My finger says it's pretty much good to go. Let's check it. We'll see how accurate my finger is. Yep. Perfect. 117. Okay, then this is what my kids call the magic part. Everyone's coming to see the magic part. So then you just take some white vinegar. So it's about 1 cup a gallon is what works for me. So I'm just under 2 cups since I had just under 2 gallons. And we're just gonna pour it in here, and it like instantly curdles. So turn off our heat, and we're just gonna pour this into the warm milk. This is just warm milk and vinegar. Ooh, that is barely all gonna fit. Now watch, when I stir this, we already got cheese forming. That's the magic part. Okay, so you're just gonna give it a stir. Yeah. Make sure the vinegar gets through all of it. Ooh, not good, Mama. Don't put your fingers in front of the camera. We're gonna cover it and just let it sit with the heat off and the vinegar in there for like 15, 20 minutes. Wayne and I are gonna go do a reading lesson. Hi. Yeah. All right, it's been longer than oh, look at that. Okay, so we've got whey. And in here, look at all that cheese. Look at how it comes together. Okay, so we're gonna scoop it out and squeeze it out, and then I'll show you what I do next. Sometimes I run it through a cheesecloth, sometimes I don't. We're gonna do it without today. So I can just use a slotted spoon and pull these curds up into here. This point it's not very hot either, which is nice. We're actually gonna warm it back up to kind of stretch the cheese. So hang on a sec. A lot of recipes you'll see will tell you to heat the cheese back up in the microwave. I don't want to use a microwave, so I put it back in here. So while I go squeeze this out, I'm gonna turn the heat back on the whey to warm it back up, and we're gonna go squeeze out the cheese. Do this part in the sink. At this point it's warm, but it's not too hot. So I'm gonna start kind of working all this curd and just dumping. You could dump the extra back in the whey pot if you're gonna save it. You can tell like it's starting to come together. Isn't that cool? And it will just wring out like a giant sponge. And the more you can get out here, the better your block of mozzarella will come together. So you just want to really keep squeezing. If you were going to make cream cheese at this point, You would just take this, throw it in your food processor, and blend it till it was smooth. That's how easy cream cheese is. Put the vinegar in the milk, squeeze out the curds, and blend them up. Add a little bit of salt or a little bit of honey or whatever you want. Like I said, at this point, a lot of things will tell you to put it in the microwave. I don't want to do that because I don't want to use microwave on my beautiful cheese. So instead, I put it back in the whey and warm it up because you need to stretch it. But I found that if I just throw it in the whey, it kind of separates again. So what I do, after I get it pretty well squeezed out, I'm gonna put it in here, put this in the whey pot. I'm just gonna put this in here, kind of fill this up. I want it to sit down in there. Take this and just kind of work this down in there and make sure it's sitting in the whey. And then as the whey warms up, it's gonna warm my cheese back up. Alrighty. We're getting nice and warm. See how I can kind of stretch the cheese now? See that? That's how you know it's getting warm enough. I think it's supposed to be like 160 degrees or something, but I never do the temperature on this part. I just kind of see if I can stretch it. Turn it over a couple times, and then we're going to pull it back out. We're going to turn it into a ball of mozzarella. Okay, got my hot cheese here. I'm actually just going to kind of press any extra moisture out through the colander and dump it in this bowl. Actually, when we're going to add our salt. When the cheese gets cool enough to mess with my hands, I will, but right now it's really hot. So I'm gonna just, any extra whey that comes out, I'm gonna dump. You have to add a lot of salt to cheese, I found out. It was very bland at first when I made it without a lot of salt. So I just kind of add salt as I'm stretching and messing with it. Let's see if it's cool enough yet. It's getting there. Keep just kind of agitating it, squeezing it. Let's see if I can shape it into a bit of like a log here. That's good enough for me. And you're gonna submerge this in really cold water. And then after it's sat in the cold water for a few minutes, you add ice cubes, let it get nice and cool. Dry it off, put it in your fridge. All right, it's been sitting in here. I'm gonna put it on here. I'm gonna squeeze it dry. It's super good sliced up on like grilled cheese. I have done it on like quesadillas. I don't love it quite as much, but it's really good like on pasta or grilled cheese. So weird. This one did not come together as nicely as some of my others, and I'm not sure why. Sometimes they come together better, but that's my general process. Sometimes they work better than others. Today it's a little bit flaky, but it's okay. It still tastes the same. Here, we'll taste a little bit of it. It's so good. So good. Tastes amazing. Hi guys, it's actually the next day, and I was so horrified at how that block of cheese turned out yesterday that I experimented with some things. Look how much better this one came out today. Look how beautiful this one is. It's nice and solid, it's not flaky, it's gonna cut perfectly. There was two things I think made a difference. The first one is that yesterday I waited much longer than the 15 to 20 minutes to go back and pull the curds out of the whey and vinegar. I was doing a reading lesson and I got distracted and ended up sitting for a long time. Today I set my timer and I was like on it. It was like 17 or 18 minutes. So I think that made a difference. And then the other thing is yesterday, I didn't let it get very hot at the end before I shaped it and stretched it. And today I let it get a lot hotter. So I actually couldn't even handle it with my hands at all. I had to use a spoon to kind of work it. But I think those two things made a big difference. So today's cheese, it's still cooling down in the water. But this is more what I was hoping to show you guys yesterday. But I think those two things are the reason that this came together so nicely. So you can see nothing flakes off. It's a totally dry, wonderful chunk of mozzarella. We're actually gonna have it on homemade bread for grilled cheese sandwiches tonight for dinner. Hopefully that helps you guys not make the same mistakes I did. Good luck with your cheese making.